And showtime. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us on the latest episode of the Channel Pro 5-Minute Roundup, a look at news, trends, and tips for the SMB channel in 5 minutes or thereabouts. Accent on the thereabouts. My name is Rich Freeman. I'm executive editor of the Channel Pro Network and one of your hosts on this program. With me, as always, is my co-host, Eric Simpson, who is Senior Vice President and CIO of SPC International, a business improvement and training organization for managed service providers and other IT providers. Eric, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing pretty fantastic, Rich. No travel for me this week, but from the background, I detect you're not in your local place that we back what you call home base.
You are absolutely right. I am in Greenville, South Carolina this week, attending the Cenex Inspire conference, which is underway right now. Interesting show, working up some content about it. So, and I love Greenville. It's only my second time here, but it's actually a nice mid-sized city.
Getting a lot of good, delicious fried Southern food there.
I haven't dipped into the fried Southern food actually just yet, but there is a lot of good food in Greenville.
You bet, you bet. Awesome. What do we got today, Rich?
Well, let's dive into the story of the week so far, and by golly, another week, another Kaseya acquisition to talk about. Right, just a few episodes ago, we were talking about their purchase of rapid fire tools. Now they have acquired Spanning. Now, folks who have been paying close attention to Kaseya, the IT management platform maker, know that back in April, Kaseya signed an agreement with Spanning, which does cloud-to-cloud backup. Under that agreement, the two companies worked together and created a solution that became an embedded component of the Kaseya RMM platform that basically allowed MSPs to configure and control and manage Office 365 backup from directly within the Kaseya RMM tool. So they've been allies since April, but now Kaseya has gone ahead and just outright acquired Spanning. It is part of an ongoing campaign on Kaseya's part to continually add more and more capabilities to their IT Complete management platform. They have made no bones about the fact that ultimately they want MSPs to be able to get anything that they want to do for their clients through that platform. And acquisitions are a huge part of how they intend to do this. So just this year alone, Kaseya has purchased Unitrends, the appliance-based BCDR vendor, Rapid Fire Tools, as we mentioned before, and now Spanning. And the other thing that these companies all have in common is they will continue doing business, all of them, independently as business units owned and operated by Kaseya, but they will have their own brand, their own headquarters, and continue from a partner or a customer standpoint to just do business independently. But Kaseya is going to be working with them to continue to embed functionality from these acquisitions inside its RMM and PSA tool.
Well, I'll tell you what, Rich, creating a single pane of glass with all of the services that any MSP may wish to deliver to their clients, putting together these strong relationships and making these acquisitions to make that possible isn't a unique strategy these days, is it?
No, it is the big story, the master narrative in the land of managed services software is that you've got Datto and Autotask, you've got SolarWinds MSP, you've got several of these big platforms with lots and lots of functionality, all combined into one suite. And, all these vendors are doing the right thing in terms of continuing to integrate with one another and allowing MSPs to pick and choose which individual products they're going to use. But they all would prefer, clearly, for you to source all of the tools you're using from them.
Absolutely. And, let's not forget, who started this way back, Arnie at ConnectWise. So this is really now, as you mentioned, us tracking these acquisitions and this master strategy. I mean, it's a horse race now. I mean, there's some big organizations, some big investment capital groups behind some of these acquisitions. Some of them are being, funded from the vendors themselves. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens if we'll have some more exciting news before the end of the year, and then what happens in Q1 and Q2 next year. Because, man, it's a slugfest right now, isn't it?
You're absolutely right. And I'll just forewarn our viewers, this is not the last time we're going to be talking about Kaseya and acquisitions either. We know they told us at ChannelPro about month plus or so ago that there are two more acquisitions in the pipeline, at least one of which is coming up before the end of the year. So they're not done in the short term, and I'm sure they've got more purchases coming after that.
Wow, that's an interesting story that we keeping an eye on.
Well, let's jump ahead to your tip of the week, Eric. What do you got for us this time?
So this week I want to talk about the importance of maintaining our vendor certifications and our vendor partnerships as well. And what I'm talking about is, not only for technical certifications and things like that to make certain that our technical resources are up to speed and able to support us when we sell the next evolution of software or infrastructure or solutions and architecting. I mean, that's a given. We've got to keep our staff, proficient in these competencies in order for us to succeed and grow. I'm talking more about as much as or more than our certifications as organizations with these vendors, right? So, Microsoft Gold certification, Cisco Platinum, those kinds of things that don't matter until they matter. And let me explain that, right? So back in another lifetime when we were running our own MSP practice, one of the first pure play MSPs in the industry, 2004, 2005-ish, we really were just head down, Rich, just, building our business, just selling solutions, taking care of our clients. And we didn't, pull our head up out of the sand to, really focus on the importance of these, vendor relationships until we started getting into competitive sales situations with other IT providers that had all these great certifications that they plaster their, these logos and these partnerships all over their marketing material and their websites. And it's one of those things where when both organizations do an excellent presentation, both are competent on paper, they're neck and neck, but then on one paper, there's all these additional vendor certifications and logos and icons. It tends to give you a little bit of subconscious, maybe even, intentional advantage in the client's eyes, right? So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit and share with our viewers that if you want a seat at the table, you better look like and act like you belong at the table. And sometimes these additional relationships, help you achieve that goal.
And it's not like acquiring those certifications is without any cost, but the return on that investment, it sounds like, is certainly worthwhile.
You bet. I mean, you're going to invest time, effort, energy, and money at different levels for these certifications, but in exchange, you get to be that go-to partner, right? Making yourself visible to these vendors and manufacturers, and then opening up all kinds of other opportunities that you may not have had as just kind of a partner of record, right? So now, maybe there's leads that start coming our way. Maybe there's MDF that we weren't, they wouldn't have access to before, right? So it just builds that stronger relationship. And again, when you're able to, we talked about this on one of our 5-minute roundups, Rich, is, leveraging those vendors' facilities for having customer demos and customer meetings and things like that, right? So again, this whole idea of building a strong relationship with your vendors and making sure that you're playing at the right level with them so that you can leverage these designations, logos, love, MDF, facilities, all that comes with being more intentional about building strong relationships. And when we're doing this, we have to pick and choose, right? What are the most strategic relationships? Because we can't get them all, right? Because there's so many of them. That's all we would be doing. So, pick and choose the ones that make the most sense for you in your market, and the ones that can give you competitive advantage and also help you build your business.
Well, fantastic. Really good stuff. That leaves us, though, with time for just one more story this week. Does pumpkin spice feel like it's getting old to you? Does it feel like this time every year we've been talking about it forever and ever? turns out pumpkin spice might be even older than we realized. According to archaeologists doing some research among the Banda Islands in Indonesia, they have found the oldest known sample of nutmeg in human history. It's residue on some ceramic pots that they found out there, 3,500 years old, 2,000 years older than the previously known use of nutmeg. So it's quite possible, Eric, 3,500 years ago, they invented the pumpkin spice latte.
And you know, Rich, I have been adding pumpkin spice to my coffee for the last couple of weeks because I love me some pumpkin spice.
This is your favorite time of year.
It is. It is. Hey, fall. I mean, Thanksgiving, getting ready for Christmas. Who's the Scrooge in that conversation?
Well, thank you very much, folks, for joining us once again on the ChannelPro 5-Minute Roundup. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you'd like to keep apprised of future episodes and see some of the old ones, what you want to do is subscribe to the ChannelPro Network channel on YouTube, and we will keep you informed about this program going forward. You want to read up on Kaseya and spanning, other stories like it, get all sorts of great business growth tips. Please pay frequent visits to the ChannelProNetwork.com website. We've got great content going up there every day. To learn more about SPC International and Erick's team and the great stuff they're doing for their clients, you want to go to consulting.spc-intl.com. That's consulting.spc-intl.com. We will be back next week with another episode of the ChannelPro 5-Minute Roundup for you. Until then, enjoy the rest of your week. Eric and I are enjoying the rest of your week already.